Since there are a few people here tonight who have not been to a talk before, let me say a few things about what a talk is not. It is not a lecture, just to be followed intellectually, the words and the meaning of the words. It is not meant to impart information or a message, a teaching, but to look at something together, so that while the talk is going on, while the words are being spoken, we can all look and inquire and listen and observe together. To be watchful, not to start comparing what is being said with what one expected to hear or has heard somebody else say, because at that moment there is a veering off from the actual process of inquiring jointly. One is occupied with a very specific function of the intellect, comparing, evaluating, agreeing, disagreeing, liking, disliking, and the talk passes by unheard, or misunderstood, because if one wants to hear something that one can agree with, that one is predisposed to like, then the perception is already distorted. Also, we will try tonight, if I can keep the proper time, to leave maybe 10 or 15 minutes at the end of the talk where some people can ask a question about the talk, about a question that was raised in the talk, or maybe about something that was not understood, or the person wants to probe further. This will not be in the format of our usual discussion periods, but concerning what is being talked about. Not any question that we can usually bring up at a discussion period. There were several questions that came up in recent meetings and discussion periods. I don't know how far we will get, whether they will all fit together or we will not go beyond the first one. The first was something like this. A person related how recently there was a conversation with someone, and the conversation concerned this place here, the center, and this person asked, "What are you doing there? What is it that you're doing at that center?" And the person who brought up this question said, "What do you say in a case like that? I didn't really know what to say." didn't know that person very well. That person didn't know me very well. I had the feeling she was seeking for something, but I also didn't want to damage that person with anything I said. And I realized I didn't really know what to say. Maybe I don't even know what I'm doing here. Would somebody like to say something, this person said, to the discussion, to the participants in the discussion group? Why is one here? What is one doing sitting on a mat? Quietly, motionlessly. And what is one doing in one's moment-to-moment living, day in and day out, and night in and night out? Does one know? Actually, some almost 20 years ago, when I joined a traditional Zen center, there was no question why one joined it and started sitting. In most cases it was in order to get enlightenment. That's why one sat and submitted to all kinds of practices. One had read about it, heard about it, and one was vaguely promised, or maybe not so vaguely, promised this state of enlightenment, this experience of enlightenment, which one felt would settle one's problems, relieve one of one's burdens and conflicts. And it was also said over and over again that there were some prerequisites for this, one being faith, one being doubt, and one being great aspiration. That if one didn't have those three, faith, doubt, and great aspiration, then it was very doubtful, if not impossible, that one would ever reach this state of enlightenment or this experience of enlightenment. Some 10 years after having started at that center, I was asked to meet with people in private interviews, take over some of that work. And it was surprising that almost everyone asked, How do I get that faith? Can you give it to me? Or how do I get that doubt? Can you help me get that doubt? I don't recall people asking, how can I get the aspirations? They were there to get that. That's why one was there. Do you see this state of mind? And in which one wants to get what one is promised, what one would like to achieve, to attain, the imagination of a desired state of being. Wanting that and trying to do whatever it takes to get there, and yet not being able to because one is lacking what one is told it takes: faith and doubt. And then wanting that. So why is one here? Are there still remnants of these ideas of what one would like to attain and achieve? Or is there a genuine wondering what is actually happening this instant of wanting faith, wanting doubt, wanting enlightenment, wanting money, wanting prestige and position, power, wanting the right mate, a better relationship, an education, a different job, release from one's burdens, more joy in one's life. What is this wanting? Can it be tracked down? Instantly as it happens, seen for what it actually is? As it happens, as it moves, this total organism. Always toward something or away from something. Toward thought out goals, imagined aims, away from remembered pain. Remembered fear. What is wanting? What is a goal? Can one see it as it comes up in the mind? The idea, the image, can it be seen as it comes up as an idea? And the arousal of this whole body, mind, organism, the whole physiology of it. The fear away from something, the fear of not attaining, the fear of whatever, not being anybody, being lonely, being abandoned. Fear of idea, thought, remembrance, imagination. Can it be seen as it arises, as it unfolds? Not staying with the assumption that fear is built into our human nature, there's nothing we can do about it, but doubting it, wondering about it. Not having faith that someone or something will help us out of our fear, but doubting faith. If we have faith in something, we don't question. We don't look. We have faith in our mind, in our thought. We're anchored someplace in an idea or in a whole series of ideas which we don't question. And therefore the mind moves in a very narrow groove. Can one see that? Can one question that? Not take it over, believe it, repeat it, but wonder about it. Wonder about a belief. Look at it. Open it up. Wonder whether one has to believe anything, or whether belief doesn't take the place of looking and seeing for oneself directly. The truth of this moment needs no belief. What is it? Can one sit down to find out? Can one walk to find out? Relate and find out the truth of this moment as we react so automatically to what somebody says to us? So defensively, so aggressively, protectively. Can one be aware? One moment during the day of what is actually going on, not caught up in the stream of thoughts, in the habitual reactions. But notice them. Be aware of the stream of thoughts. Be aware of a habitual reaction. May sound so, if one has heard this for years and years, it may just sort of fall into a slot like in a candy bar machine. The slot drops and something comes out. That's the response. This again, I've heard it so many times. Can't you say something new? If you really see it, that's something new. You really see a habitual reaction come up. As it comes up, not be caught up in it, but see it. And wonder about it. The moment you wonder, it doesn't have to happen. There's freedom from it. So is one here at this place in order to find something that one is desiring to attain? Is there confusion about that? whatever we're doing, wherever we're going, we usually expect something, don't we? We're there because we want something. Or we want to get away from someplace else. And this is the refuge, the escape. Is it possible? Does it make sense to be here? And expect nothing, so that the mind is open to see what's there. If it expects something, it's preoccupied with the expectation, hoping for this expected thing to happen, and either it will happen. The human mind can make anything happen. And as long as there's a desire for something to happen, there will be self-deception and illusion. The thing will happen. The experience that one wants will happen. Or it won't happen, and then there'll be depression and frustration, despair. This is how we live. Always wanting, always expecting, fearing not to get it. When we have it, fearing to lose it, or not to have as good a one as somebody else. What will shed light on all of that? Is one interested? Not to get connected with one action after another, connected with one process after another. This school, this group, that group, this teaching, that teaching, this teacher, that teacher. Unhooking from one and hooking into another one. Always away from something and toward something else. Silently, quietly, listen. Without any expectation. Feeling the arising of expectation or want as it arises, and wondering about it, not being immediately caught up in it. Somebody asked recently, what about this practice of putting the attention into the lower belly, below the navel, to the palm of the hands or whatever's in that region, inside or out. What about that? You don't talk about that anymore. But it seems to be good if it happens, when that attention is there. Helps so much. I don't know what the person was specifically mentioning and what it was helping. To be more attentive. What about that? We all love to have a practice, something to do. Something to train in, to become better in, to become more proficient in, to excel, and to notice the results. This is what gives zest and content to our life, meaning. It's not said judgmentally, it's just said factually. There are many arts and the whole field of the martial arts and the art of singing, maybe playing instruments, where this area is very important to be trained. And in many Zen schools, it is one of the main emphases to put energy and attention into this area. Actually, in putting the hand here, there is a motion there as the breath comes in and out, because as it happens, the strongest, most important of the breathing muscles, the diaphragm, sits in here someplace. And as the breath moves in and out, there's a slight or stronger at times motion to be felt in this area, in and out or up and down. This is what the person asks too. Do you say that this is wrong to feel one's breath there? Is it not right to do it? What is right or wrong about this? The breath, this muscle here moves the air, moves whatever is happening. I don't know all the physiology of it, all the anatomy of it, but it's palpable, it's tactile, it's feelable. Little children, little babies breathe with their belly. Later on, with our whole way of raising children, growing up with rewards and punishments, do's and don'ts, fears, repression, anxiety, the breath is interfered with. Maybe choked up here in the chest or in the throat. Sometimes already little children have asthma. I don't mean asthma due to allergies, but due to fear and anxiety. So if there's a pressure here, a blockage that one feels, hardly getting a breath through this area or through the throat. People sometimes say this as they sit down. There's a tremendous pressure here, pain, cramp or whatever. Does one then try to get attention into the area of the belly, or does one listen to what's there? Does one make a fight out of it, a conflict, a battle? Or listen to what is actually there? Not how the breath should go, how the muscles should move, but how does it move? What is going on? What is it? And listening gently, tenderly, without interfering to what's there, which is the result of all that has gone on before. The moment one feels the compulsion or the need to focus attention, is not attention. It's a concentration practice. Attention has no focus, it's open. It just shows up or mirrors, throws light on what is there. Not on what should be there, but what is actually there. Focusing attention is the operation of the will, which is in the service of desire to get something. I want enlightenment. If I want it, I need to do this, so I do this in order to get that. And the will to do it. The force, will is force, is violence. Violence to what is actually happening. Can will itself come into awareness? The ideas connected with it, the tensions, the physical tension connected with will, the energy that will can arouse, all the thoughts and ideas connected with it. Throw light on that, reveal it in an awareness that wants nothing. It is in such an awareness that a knot here may unravel, dissolve, not because one wants it to dissolve, because there's no wanting, no violence, no will. Just an openness of wondering and listening and allowing what is there to be irradiated. With what? Attention. That's a word. Not the word, not the idea. So can one listen to the rustling of the clothes, the cushions, the ticking of this clock here, the breathing. Actually listen to the breathing without wanting anything of it, without knowing it. The thoughts that come up, the feelings connected with them. And the lack of attention when one is caught in a thought. And then an awareness of that, the judgments that come in. And the wanting to be free of thought, free of judgment. Can it all just be there like a huge stream? Oneself being that stream. Or is one standing apart? I am what? What am I? Apart from the wanting, apart from the will, the fears, the aspirations? Is there a me that has all of that? Or are the fears, the aspirations, the wanting, is that me? That whole stream of thoughts and feelings and emotions and images, past, present, future. Is one interested? What one is, who one is? Whether there's somebody separate from the feelings, the thoughts, the wants, the fears? That's what it feels like, that there's somebody separate. Some separate entity, me. Apart from what is felt and seen and heard and judged and wanted. Can one inquire into that? Does one need some quiet time to do that? Is one interested to find out who one is, what one is? What the source and the base of all one's problems is? The very root of them? Not to get out of them, but to understand. Because they're there. In oneself and in everyone around us. Immense problems. Problems of division, of conflict, of joylessness, lack of love, fear of loneliness. Can one look at all that in oneself? Take some time? Or does one just fill one's days and nights with distraction and escapes? just not to face what is there. So why is one here? About 15 minutes left to the time that we've all allotted to this meeting together. Anybody would like to ask something? Not to worry about how it is being formulated. Doesn't make any difference. One can formulate a question as it comes up. It does not need preparation.
Toni?
Yes.
I didn't understand what you meant when you said getting what you want is illusion. I understood what you meant when you said not getting what you want leads to blah de blah de blah de blah, depression, whatever the response is. What's the illusion involved in getting what you want?
In wanting. As long as there's wanting, I don't know what I said, this is what I meant to say. As long as there's wanting, there will be illusion and deception, self-deception. Are you asking for an example?
What you just said was different from what I thought you said, so that's not... I don't have difficult... I understand what you said just then.
Is it to see wanting as it is? What is it? What is actual wanting as it is?
What is it that you want? I don't mean to be personal, but you want a house? We want a house? How does this want for a house come into being? Let's say one is sitting here and mind is playing some tune, and then suddenly the idea of a house, picture of a house, the looks of it, a little bit of land with it, some trees to throw shade over the roof, and then oneself in that house, sitting under the tree on an easy chair, or having friends over for a party, and then wanting that. As long as the idea, the picture, the fantasy of the house was not in the mind, one wasn't wanting it. The moment it appears on that screen, and oneself connected with it isn't there wanting it. Or you may go by a store and you see a coat that just looks just right, like you fit. You see yourself in that coat, and there's wanting it. Or let's put it the other way around. Can one see something? A house for sale, a good price. See all of that and not want it? See an attractive man or woman? Really look at him or her. The figure, the shape, the eyes, the hair, the good-looking clothes. And that's it, without any repression. Just see something, somebody without wanting. And how does wanting arise? Just in seeing what is actually there, or imagining something more, oneself with that person, in that coat, owning the house. And then wanting that. Imagining, we started talking about enlightenment, imagining oneself the person in the story that one has read, an enlightenment story, imagining oneself being that person, the problems dropping off, the light and the freedom, spontaneity and whatever, and wanting that. You see the role played by imagination, thought, idea, fantasy, in wanting. And the whole movement of the organism, and the thoughts toward something imagined. Can one actually catch it, see it, grasp it as it is happening? And noticing at the same time that is a movement away from what is. It's a movement into fantasy and the impact of fantasy on the whole organism. The absorption of it, the involvement in it, to the exclusion of awareness of what's actually happening in this moment. One may mechanically still walk or type or even answer questions, and yet something else is going on at the same time that absorbs the mind and body. Can you see that? Or is one just following somebody's words and description? Or really see it in oneself. As it's happening all the time. You may find there's hardly any moment, waking time or sleeping time, that there's not wanting. Something, somebody. It's not said judgmentally.
Toni, I'm cold. I want that coat.
Why don't you get it? Where is it?
To the other room. The house is a good place to put my money.
What are you trying to say?
That I think there's a risk in pointing at want indiscriminately. Because I think there are directions that are useful in want.
It was not said judgmentally, as being right or wrong, but is one aware of it? Of the whole movement of wanting. Wanting warmth. You say it's not a problem. Is that what you say?
Yeah, it doesn't seem like a problem at all.
So, can one see when wanting is a problem and when it is not? If you say, your description of wanting, you're pointing to wanting, makes this brain say it's wrong or right, then let's look at that. I didn't say it's wrong or right. But we think in those categories. But can one see the effect of wanting? The consequences of it, the actual happening of it?
In some cases I get a coat. That's the point at which I don't understand what it is you're pointing at. When you say, can you see the consequences of wanting? In some cases, something useful comes of it for me.
And is that the end of wanting?
I'm no longer cold. I don't need a coat. I mean, I've got the coat.
Yes,
There's no more wanting.
But just because we have a warm coat doesn't mean our want for clothes is over. We want different clothes, we want new clothes, we want as good clothes as someone else, we want prestigious clothes. That's often something extra. Much more than just the warmth needed. I'm not saying it's wrong, but we're driven by that. You want to say keeping warm, keeping healthy, keeping dry, or keeping cool. These are intelligent actions. I'll agree with you. We need to take care of ourselves. And the process of that is usually not obsessive. One realizes what one needs and one gets it, and it is finished. It doesn't obsess the mind.
In your illustrations before, it seemed like what you're talking about wanting was more than just getting something. Like there was a lot of fantasizing in between or something. Saying maybe if I get this, somehow my life will be better, or something will be better than it is now, or something. Is that part of the process of that wanting?
Well, is it? Hoping that things will be better then, and then when one arrives there, are things better, or does the wanting continue for something better, for something more, for something different? Always moving away from something or towards something, and never here. One doesn't know what that means to be here, actually here. Seeing wanting come up and seeing at a glance instantly whether it is intelligent, like what John was referring to, getting a warm coat when one is cold, and then it has no problem. It doesn't narrow the mind. It doesn't compel it. Or seeing when it's just a habitual run away from things and toward things in the imagination. Away from boredom, from feeling bored. There seems to be a scanner in the brain just trying to scan what could I want right now. It happens as we're living, it happens while we're sitting. Some people have told me, I'd like to come to a retreat, but I don't want to sit all the time. It's too boring. I want to have some extra work. Which is what? What is boredom? Not that one should sit all the time. I'm not saying that. But when boredom is there, can one examine it? There's always some fear of something. Fear of what? And scanning for something away from this fear. For something to happen, for something to go after. It's 9:33. I think we'll end here.